My dear friends, during the last few days, we were discussing the educational concepts of some great Indian philosophers who had got some larger than life image. Yes, we have so far discussed the educational concepts of Mahatma Gandhi, Tagore, and Swami Vivekananda. So these people have got some larger than life image. We know that these people, these great philosophers, were known all over the world for different reasons. Today we are going to make a look at the educational concepts of another great Indian philosopher who can be considered as greater than the previously discussed greater people, at least in the case of educational philosophy, though he is not often being mentioned, just as these great people are being done when Indian history is being discussed. See, when we discuss something related to Indian history, Mahatma Gandhi, Swami Vivekananda, and Tagore are being mentioned now and then. But today, we are going to make a look at the educational concepts of another great Indian philosopher. He's not as popular as Mahatma Gandhi, Tagore, and Swami Vivekananda. When we talk about freedom fighting, when we talk about some Indian philosophy, when we talk about different aspects of our country, we always happen to mention, good evening, Amir sir. We always happen to mention, yes, sir, Mahatma Gandhi, Swami Vivekananda, and Tagore. But this man can be considered greater than Mahatma Gandhi, Rabindranath Tagore, and Swami Vivekananda, at least in the case of educational philosophy. If you read the educational concepts of this man, if you think about the educational ideas of this man, you will feel some difference. You can see that something greater than the philosophical ideas put forth by the three great philosophers about whom we have already discussed. Who is that man? He is none other than the great Aurobindo.
Aurobindo, okay.
Yeah. He's the great Aurobindo. Actually, Aurobindo Ghosh. He's always known as Aurobindo. If we talk about Indian history and such things, sometimes this name will not become there. And he's not as popular as Swami Vivekananda, Mahatma Gandhi, and Tagore. But if you look at his philosophies, if you look at his educational system, you will be wondered. Something highly philosophical, something innovative, something great. So today, let's have a glance at the educational concepts of Aurobindo, shall we? Yes, I think you're ready.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
We can look at some of his educational concepts. I feel that we will not be able to complete this topic by the end of today's class because it needs more explanation. I also feel that Hamisa can contribute something to this class, and all others can contribute. As Hamisa is nowadays, I think he reads more about such things, such concepts and such philosophies. He can contribute much, I think. So it needs more discussion because sometimes actually I was not able to I was not able to realize or understand his philosophy easily. I was reading and reading. Fortunately, yesterday I got something written by Aurobindo himself. I will share that piece of article to you. So it's very beautiful. It's a very interesting article in which you can see each and everything related to his educational concepts. So we can look at his educational concept. The first thing is starting education even before birth. Starting education even before birth. What is this? Starting education even before birth. This is, it has got some wonderful connotations. Yes, I think ladies are here. When ladies become pregnant, I think they will make some changes in their diet, in their food habit, or they will be giving more importance to their diet, their food for each day. Yes, am I right? Am I right?
Yes, sir.
For what you're doing so, teacher? You're taking more nutritious food, or you're becoming more careful in the case of your diet. Why? Why do you do so? What is the reason behind that? What is the reason behind that? Yes, more teacher.
Sir, please repeat the question again.
When women become pregnant, when women become pregnant, they start changing their diet. I mean, the food. Yeah, right? They start having some better food. They start having some better nutritious food, which they...
Okay.
For nourishing the next generation, sir. For nourishing the new generation.
Yes, nourishing the new generation.
We are producing, yes. We are
Yeah.
producing newborns, yes.
Yeah, you for nourishing the new generation means you are bothered about the health, the physical
Yes.
health of your child. Yeah.
Yes, yes, sir.
Because you're not giving before that you eat, or before that you have food, you take food just for your health. But when you become pregnant, you take food not only for you but also for your child. That means
For 2 members, yes, sir. For 2 members.
yeah, for 2 members. So, and when the child is inside the womb, then you're when the child is inside the womb, you're much bothered about the child, not about you, more than
Yes, sir.
about
Yes.
you. Okay. And here, actually, you take this food, better food or nutritious food, just for the physical health.
Yes.
But Aurobindo tells that not only for the physical health of your child, you have to take some such precautions, but also for the mental health, or but also for the academic development, or but also for the intellectual development, or but also for the educational development of your child.
Sir, that time we read some books like that, no?
Yeah. Yes. That is what he tells, because
And yesterday you told about Uttara and Abhimanyu.
yeah.
Arjuna's son and wife, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Maybe he has got such a principle, such a philosophy from Vedic philosophy, maybe from
Sir, it
Itihasa.
is true. It is true. In the womb itself, child is getting something.
Yeah. So he tells that education should start from the womb itself. And he tells that women should indulge in some intellectual thinking. Women should indulge in some intellectual discussions. Women should read some books, and women should make use of their reasoning during the time of pregnancy, or woman, not only during the pregnancy, if the woman indulges in some discussion, some intellectual discussions and some reading and something like that, then it can be useful for the child, especially during the time of pregnancy. He feels that, and see, we have seen the definition given by Swami Vivekananda. And in that definition, we have seen education is the manifestation of the divine perfection already in man. And we have seen the definition given by Mahatma Gandhi. By education, I mean an all-round drawing out of the best in man and child, body, mind, and spirit. We had seen the definition given by Pestalozzi. Education is the natural, harmonious, and progressive development of man's innate powers. So all these educationists admit that education is not imparting knowledge, or not mere imparting knowledge, not mere teaching, not mere training, not mere giving instructions, but education is the development of innate powers, innate potentialities, innate abilities or capacities. And Aurobindo tells that you can plan that innate abilities. You can make a systematic plan. You can make a systematic plan for making your child come to this earth with such a fantastic or such a wonderful, such an amazing capacity, innate capacity, by the intellectual activities of the mother of the child. A very beautiful concept. Education is the process of developing that innate abilities. So without innate abilities, if a child comes without abilities, maybe children may be different and heredity plays some role. That's a fact. Heredity also plays some role. So if you want to come your child with some fantastic skills, with some fantastic abilities, potentialities, you can plan. You should plan beforehand. That means that the woman should plan for that. By some efforts, instead of watching this and that, or instead of passing the time by using different time passing events, if the women spend their time, spend their moments by reading books, by thinking about different aspects of life, by using their reasoning power for solving different problems, I mean, spending their time in something useful, something meaningful, then their child will come with some fantastic abilities. And this is what is meant by starting education even before birth. Yes, got the idea? Yes.
Yes, sir.
So something wonderful, yeah. And now comes one of the greatest ideas by Aurobindo. When you hear the name Aurobindo, or most of the educators, or most of the students of education, or most of the academicians think about this one when they think about Aurobindo. And that is his concept of integral education, the physical, the vital, the mental, the psychic, and the spiritual. His educational system is always known as integral education. According to Aurobindo, your educational system should give importance to all these aspects: the physical, the vital, the mental, the psychic, and the spiritual. Physical education, vital education, mental education, psychic education, and spiritual education. These 5 parts are there. These 5 important areas are there. And he has put forth some excellent ideas about all these different areas. Each area needs some span of time to be explained. For writing in the examination, actually, we can conclude all these things within half an hour. But I think his educational philosophy is something innovative, or something which is strange for us, maybe because he has introduced some novel ideas, and he has given interpretation and explanation to each and every aspect from among these aspects of education. So first of all, we can look at the physical education, his concept of physical education. And when we talk about this concept of integral education, one of the most important things which we have to note is that, according to Aurobindo, when we think about all these different types of education, different areas of education, we should think about consciousness. Education should be for consciousness. It should be for physical consciousness. It should be for vital consciousness. It should be for mental consciousness. It should be for psychic consciousness. It should be for spiritual consciousness. And this consciousness is something important in the case of education. Because whatever education you are providing to your children or your students, they should be conscious about the particular education they give. And this is especially indicated by him, or this is directly indicated by him, just because the traditional modern educational system always provides some mechanical education to children. Children learn different things, but they do not know the real aim of what they learn. They get some habit, they acquire some habits in their life, but they do not know why they get all these habits. What is the logic behind such habits? Yeah, maybe physical, maybe vital, maybe mental, maybe psychic, maybe spiritual. When you give some sort of education to your children, it should be conscious. Conscious means students should be aware of all the items they learn, or students should get an idea, or students should know the real purpose, the real aim of what they learn. It should not be mechanical. So education for consciousness, that is something important. So first we can look at the physical education, the concept of physical education introduced by Aurobindo. Yes, physical education. There are 3 aspects: control and discipline of the functioning of the body, integral, methodical, and harmonious development of all the parts. Yes, 3 aspects of physical education are there according to Aurobindo. control and discipline of the functioning of the body. Integral, methodical, and harmonious development of all the parts and movements of the body. Correction of any defects and deformities. And see, when actually we think that physical education is a part of education just for making the students some relaxation. We always think so. I have always thought so. Just for making them get some relaxation from the busy works, some overloaded works at educational institutions. But when I had read about Aurobindo's educational concepts even before yesterday. But yesterday when I started reading something written by himself, I was wondered, because there is some philosophy behind this physical education. It is not mere relaxation, not mere getting some refreshment, not mere recharging. Yeah, when we learn something or when we indulge in studies, when we go on studying something for hours and hours, psychology tells that there is plateau. As you might have heard, plateau means some block. Yeah, if we learn for 1 hour or 2 hours, then we will feel that even after reading something, we are not able to understand, because learning becomes static. No improvement will be there. When there is plateau, there will not be any improvement, and this may happen even to brilliant students, right? Maybe the time of plateau may be different. Now, for some people or for some students, the plateau occurs just after 20 minutes or 30 minutes. They will start feeling that they are not able to read more, they are not able to study more, they are not able to, or there is no improvement by just after reading something for half an hour. Some other students may be getting 1 hour, and after reading something for 1 hour, after learning something for 1 hour, they may feel that there is no more improvement. And some other students may get 2 hours or 3 hours. So it is something psychological, plateau is there. And we always feel that if such an atmosphere is there, if such a condition is there, then we can recharge, because we have lost our energy. Energy means mental energy. So we can recharge. So we are using some physical education for recharging. But it is not mere recharging, it is not mere relaxation, but something philosophical is there behind this physical education. He feels that when you give them physical education, these things should be considered. Control and discipline of the functioning of the body. The individual should be able to control the discipline and functions of the body. Not mechanical. Actually, from the very beginning of our life, each and every individual should start control and make some discipline for the functioning of the body. And physical education will be helpful for that. So we should be able to control our body. Our body should not be controlling us. That is the matter. Actually, sometimes we are controlled by our body. We are controlled by our physical interests. Yeah, it should not be there. We should be able to control. Actually, we should control. Our body should not control us, but we should control our body. And that is one of the functions of physical education according to Aurobindo. So control and discipline of the functioning of the body, and it should be started at the very beginning. Okay. Then the second one, integral, methodical, and harmonious development of all the parts and movements of the body. Not only for hands, not only for legs, not only for our palms, not only for our feet, not only for our stomach, not only for our limbs, not only for our nerves, for each and everything. So when we give physical education, the different parts of our body should be given importance. All the parts of the body should be able to move in the same speed, in the same manner. That balance should be there. If the balance is not there, everything will be collapsed. That balance is important. So it should be integral. You should give importance to each part. And it should be methodical. Methodical means we should use some systematic methods for that. Then it should be harmonious, means balanced. For example, see, if your body, if your upper part of the body, if your upper part of the body becomes more, with more weight, then it will affect your legs. Yeah. Some people feel some pain on their legs just because their legs are not able to carry the upper part of the body, because legs haven't got that much weight, but the upper part of the body has got more weight. So your legs will not be able to carry, or your legs will not be able to afford that weight of your upper part of the body. Then the imbalance may be creating some problems for you. So each and every part of the body should be given importance when you give physical education to your students or your children. Then the third one is correction of any defects and deformities. See, during the time span, or during the time of our life, at any time we may feel some defects, some physical defects. Then students should be able to correct some of his physical activities to escape from that particular defect. He or she should not be thinking about any medicine. Yeah. See, when we feel some pain on any part of our body, the first thing we are thinking will be about the medicine which can cure the pain. But according to Aurobindo, if you give proper physical education, children or youngsters will be able to come out of the pain of any particular part of their body by changing their lifestyle, by changing their physical activities. For example, if you feel some back pain, and sometimes by changing your lifestyle, by changing the style of your standing, by changing the style of your sitting, by changing the style of your lying, you can come out of your back pain without consulting a doctor, without having any medicine. So such a tendency should be there. So by giving physical education, actually you're not making them relaxing from some busy life, but you are making them able to control the functions of their own body without having any help from others. So these three things are something important in the case of physical education. Yes, got the idea?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So you will learn more. Some fantastic ideas are here. I do not know whether I can convey the real meaning, the real idea, the real theme of his philosophical ideas, because something highly philosophical, but still I will try at my level best to convey. Yeah. And then he tells that, just look at these words from Aurobindo. All education of the body should begin at birth and continue throughout life. It is never too soon to begin, nor too late to continue. Beautiful words. Something amazing. All education of the body should begin at the birth. You should start giving physical training for your child just after the birth. We feel that he is a child, he is an infant, he's only 1 year old, or he is only 2 year old, or she is only 3 years old. There is no such things. If you start giving physical training to your child when the child is 1 day old, it is not too soon. It is not too soon. It is not too earlier. Actually, it is the right time. And you should continue it. That means if you feel that I have become 40 years old. If you feel I have become 40 years old, I have been doing some exercises for all these 30 years. Now let me stop. There is no such thought. You should continue, because it is for you, for your education, because we will be thinking about vital education, the other parts of education. All these are interrelated. Yeah. We have told that integral education is some education where we can see different domains, the physical education, vital education, then mental education, then psychic education, and spiritual education. But for your later education, the other types of education, for vital education, you should lead a dynamic body. And as per the Indian philosophers, think that there is no end for education. You're learning throughout your life. You're improving throughout your life. And for this improvement, you should get some healthy body. And this healthy body will be there only when you are able to control your body. Only when you are able to control your body, you can give something else to your mind, your vitality. Because if you want to develop your mind, but if your body does not allow you to develop your mental capacity, then your aim of getting more education will be collapsed. So Aurobindo tells that you should start the physical training at the very beginning of the life. If you are the parents of the child, then you should start that physical training at the very beginning. And if you start at the very beginning, that means on the very next day after giving birth to that child, and if anyone else tells that, what the hell you are doing? He's a small infant. Why do you give physical training to that infant now itself? You don't mind it. Let him tell, or let them tell so. But according to Aurobindo, it should be started at the very beginning of the life. And it should be continued. This physical education should be continued till the end of the life. So all education of the body should begin at birth and continue throughout life. It's never too soon to begin, nor too late to continue. Again, something which is strange for us. Yeah, we think that we can start the exercises and physical education only after becoming 8 years old or 10 years old. Yeah, so it should be started from at the very beginning.
Khatib sir,
Yeah.
then is there any need of any helper or a tutor or a teacher for doing this education, physical or?
Yes, sir. Actually, we should, because they are children, okay? They are children. So we know, the elders should know what is suitable for their healthy body. Yeah. So during the initial stages, we should train them, or we should give some trainings, or we should give them some instructions. And for and these are also for this is also for creating some good habit. For example, last day I told you, sir, brushing. Yeah, we teach them brushing. It's also a part of physical activity. It's also a part of habit. Yeah, physical training does not mean some exercises. Not only some exercises, but all the activities which we are having for a healthy body. So we teach them, or we train them brushing teeth. Yeah, because brushing teeth will be a part of the healthy body. And if one suffers a toothache, it will be creating some tension. I think one of the most disturbing pains is toothache. If you have got toothache, I think you cannot concentrate on anything. So, according to Aurobindo, when you teach them brushing teeth, it should not be mechanical, but you should teach them the real logic behind that physical activity. So that is he should that is, I told you, conscious. Actually, nowadays our children are starting brushing the teeth just because we are making them brush the teeth, or just because they are observing the elder ones are brushing the teeth. But they do not know the real logic behind that. So when they get an opportunity for avoiding the brushing the teeth, then they will avoid it. If the parents ask him, "Have you brushed your teeth?" then he or she would tell, "Yes, I have brushed my teeth," because they need a cup of tea as early as possible. And they know that the parents will not be giving them a cup of tea before brushing the teeth. So when we ask them, sometimes they may tell, "Yes, I have brushed my teeth." Or sometimes they will be brushing the teeth just for the sake of the brushing the teeth. Yeah, brush they will run to have the cup of tea. But if they know that this is a part of their healthy body, if they know that if they avoid brushing teeth, or if they know that if they are not brushing the teeth in the proper manner, it will be affecting their body health in the recent future, then they will never avoid that habit, even for some timely benefits. That's the matter, sir. So instructors should be during the childhood days, parents should give some instructions. Yes, sir. Hamish, sir.
ഞാനൊരു കാര്യം കോൺട്രിബ്യൂട്ട് ചെയ്തോട്ടെ. അതായത് നാരായണ മാഷ് ചോദിച്ച ചോദ്യമായിട്ട് ബന്ധപ്പെട്ടിട്ടാണ്.
Yes, sir. Yes.
അതായത് ഞാൻ മനസ്സിലാക്കുന്നത്, സാധാരണ ഇന്ത്യൻ ഫിലോസഫിയില് ടീച്ചർ എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് ഒരു ഭയങ്കര റോളാണ്.
Yeah.
അതായത് നമ്മുടെ ഒരു എഡ്യൂക്കേഷൻ സിസ്റ്റത്തിന്റെ ഏറ്റവും പ്രധാനപ്പെട്ട റോളാണ് ടീച്ചർ എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്.
Yes.
അരബിന്ദോയുടെ ഫിലോസഫിയില് അങ്ങനെ ഒരു റോള് ടീച്ചർക്കില്ല. ടീച്ചർ ഇസ് ജസ്റ്റ് എ ഫെസിലിറ്റേറ്റർ എന്നുള്ള മാത്രമേ ഉള്ളൂ. കാരണം അരബിന്ദോന്റെ ഫിലോസഫിന്റെ ഒരു അടിസ്ഥാനം എന്ന് വെച്ചാൽ നത്തിങ് ക്യാൻ ബി ടോട്ട് എന്നാണ്.
Yes, sir.
നമുക്കൊന്നും പുതുതായിട്ട് പഠിപ്പിക്കാൻ പറ്റില്ല. കുട്ടിയുടെ ഉള്ളിലാണ് യഥാർത്ഥ ടീച്ചർ ഇരിക്കുന്നത്. ആ ടീച്ചറിലേക്ക് കുട്ടിയെ നയിക്കുക എന്നുള്ളതാണ് ഈ ഫെസിലിറ്റേറ്ററുടെ ജോലി എന്നുള്ളതാണ്.
Yes, yeah.
ഉള്ളിലാണ് യഥാർത്ഥ ഗുരു ഇരിക്കുന്നത്. ആ ഗുരുവിലേക്ക് കുട്ടിയുടെ കണ്ണുകൾ എന്ത് ചെയ്യാന്ന് വെച്ചാൽ തിരിച്ചു കൊടുക്കുക എന്നുള്ളതാണ് ഈ ഫെസിലിറ്റേറ്ററുടെ ജോലി എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്. ഇതാണ് അരബിന്ദോയുടെ ഫിലോസഫിയിലുള്ള ടീച്ചർ. ആ ടീച്ചർ ഒരു അബ്സല്യൂട്ട് പവർ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ അബ്സല്യൂട്ട് അതോറിറ്റി എന്നുള്ള നിലക്കല്ല അരബിന്ദോ കാണുന്നത്. അതുകൊണ്ടാണ് നമ്മൾ ആ ടീച്ചർക്കുള്ള സാധാരണ ഇന്ത്യൻ ഫിലോസഫി കാണുന്ന ആ ഒരു റോള് ഇവിടെ ഇല്ല എന്നുള്ളതാണ്. പിന്നെ ആ ടീച്ചർ എന്ന് വെച്ചാൽ ഞാൻ മനസ്സിലാക്കുന്നതെന്ന് വെച്ചാല്, പിന്നെ ഇതില് ഇന്ത്യൻ ഇതായതുകൊണ്ട് തന്നെ ഗോഡാണ് അൾട്ടിമേറ്റ് പിന്നെ ഗുരു എന്നും അതാണ് അവന്റെ ഉള്ളിൽ ഇരിക്കുന്നതെന്നും അതുകൊണ്ട് തന്നെ അവൻ ഓൾറെഡി അവന്റെ ഉള്ളിൽ ആ ഗുരു ഉണ്ട്. അപ്പൊ അതിനെ നമ്മൾ എന്ത് ചെയ്യാന്ന് വെച്ചാല് കൂടുതലായിട്ട് അറിയാനായിട്ട് കുട്ടിയെ സഹായിച്ചു കൊടുക്കുക എന്നുള്ളത് മാത്രമാണ്.
Yes, that's
അതുപോലെ
facilitating.
ടീച്ചറുടെ ക്വാളിറ്റീസ് പറയുന്നതിന്റെ അകത്ത് അരബിന്ദോ പറയുന്ന കുറെ സാധനങ്ങളുണ്ട്. ടീച്ചർ ഒരു സെയിന്റ് ആയിരിക്കണം.
Yeah.
അതുപോലെ തന്നെ ടീച്ചർ ഒരു പിന്നെ അതായത് യഥാർത്ഥ ടീച്ചർ ആണ്ടിരിക്കുന്നെങ്കിൽ ഒരു യോഗിയായിരിക്കണം എന്നൊക്കെ അരബിന്ദോ പറയുന്നുണ്ട്.
Yes.
അപ്പൊ ഞാൻ മനസ്സിലാക്കുന്നത് ഒരു ഡിഫറെന്റ് വ്യൂ ആണ് ടീച്ചറെ കുറിച്ചിട്ട് അരബിന്ദോ കാഴ്ചവെക്കുന്നത്. അതെനിക്ക് തോന്നുന്നത് നമ്മൾ നേരത്തെ പറഞ്ഞതുപോലെ ഈ ഒരു ഫെസിലിറ്റേറ്റർ എന്നുള്ള, അതായത് യഥാർത്ഥ ഗുരുവിലേക്ക് നയിക്കുന്ന ഒരാൾ എന്നുള്ള സെൻസിലാണ് ടീച്ചർ അരബിന്ദോന്റെ സിസ്റ്റത്തിൽ വരുന്നതെന്നാണ് ഞാൻ മനസ്സിലാക്കുന്നത്.
Yes, you're right, sir. You're exactly right. That is what's there, because he told that if the mother is bothered about her child, or if the mother keeps a little bit care, if the mother becomes a little bit alert to make the child come with some innate potentialities, then there is no need of a teacher to teach each and everything, but just facilitate and see and, that these potentialities will be there. For example, if the mother, during the time of pregnancy, if the mother thinks that, the simple example again I will use, if the mother thinks that I have got a child in my womb, so I have to brush my teeth in a complete manner, and this thought also will be influencing the child. But when they come to the earth, they will not be able to realize this thought themselves sometimes. But the teacher, at the starting time, parents are the teachers, and these teachers, whoever it is, should make them or should remind them this. So that is what we are doing through this physical education too. Okay, so making them able to control their physical activity as they will, or according to their will. As I told, their body should not control them, but they should be able to control their body. For example, this afternoon actually I was preparing for this class, and this afternoon actually I had taken some kurimandi, because when I was coming from my home, it was given to me. So I felt a little bit sleepy. Then I just laid myself on the floor and slept, because my body was controlling me. I was not able to control my body. My body was controlling me. This should not be there. Actually, I should be able to control my body. So for that, proper physical training, physical education should be there from the very beginning of the life. Then again, something from the physical education, you look there, according to Aurobindo, and this is something fantastic. Yeah. So he has told that children should not be encouraged to utilize their illness to attract others, so that to get sympathy. And see, nowadays people feel that to be ill is something great. Yes, I was not aware of that till yesterday, sir. But when I read this one, actually I laughed at myself. Children should not be encouraged to utilize their illness to attract others, so that to get sympathy. Yeah, children feel that if they are weak, that is an advantage. Because when children become ill, or when children become sick, they get more recognition. See, whenever we see a person, the first thing we utter will be, "Oh, you have become so much tired." വല്ലാതെ ക്ഷീണിച്ചല്ലോ എന്ന് ചോദിക്കാം. Okay, and we never tell any person, "Oh, you have become more smarter." We never tell. Actually, the birth of positive psychology is because of this attitude of human beings. We see the negative side first. We never see the positive side. So, according to Aurobindo, children should be made aware that to become sick is a sign of weakness, not some virtue or sacrifice. Because children desire, or they are eager to become sick, because they feel that to be sick is better than to be healthy. So this should not be there according to Aurobindo. We should create a sort of healthy culture, a concept of healthy culture in the minds of the children. Aurobindo promoted sports and games as a part of, sorry. Yeah, again, something fantastic. Aurobindo promoted sports and games as a part of education, so that to create a natural health culture in children. There should be a natural health culture. It should not be because of some external force. For example, we start preparing, or we start accepting a particular diet only when a doctor tells so. Yeah, we start walking. If you just go outside nowadays at 4 o'clock or at 5 o'clock in the morning, in the at dawn, you will see lots of people walking. Lots of people who have become 40 years or 35 years or 30 years. Yes, they started walking just because they have got such an advice from their doctor. But according to Aurobindo, it should not be there. From the very beginning of the life itself, the children should start keeping some natural health culture. He told that if you make the children have sunlight or sun heat, then it will be promoting their health. And he told use of medicine should be avoided unless it is absolutely impossible to avoid them. So if you read that article written by Aurobindo, you will see some inverted commas or some underline on absolutely impossible. Then he again repeats that this absolutely impossible should be strict. That means at any circumstance, you should avoid medicines. This is some beautiful concept, because we are forced to take some medicines just because we are not keeping a health culture. Health culture, it should be a part of our culture, our life culture. If we are able to keep a health culture, a natural health culture, we can avoid all the types of drugs and such things. See, actually, drugs are making our body more tired. And if we are having a natural health culture, our body will be more dynamic. According to Aurobindo, for getting a better education, or for having some vital education, mental education, psychic education, and spiritual education, the first thing is that you should get some dynamic body. And this healthy body does not mean the weight of your body. Actually, some of us believe that health means weight. If you see a lean boy, you will tell that there is an unhealthy boy. Actually, it is not right. Health is determined on the basis of the ability, the person's ability to move, or the person's ability to make use of different body parts when it is needed. So if you are able to make use of your body when you need it, then that is health, not the weight. So you should be able to move your body in a natural manner without any difficulty when it is needed. For example, if you want to write something on the blackboard, if you're not able to move your finger, or if you are not able to move your hand on that blackboard, you are not a healthy person, even if you have got some 70 kilograms. If you are not able to run when a dog comes behind you, just for a joke, yeah, then you are not healthy. So you should be able to move your body when it is needed. And that is health, not the weight. And for education, this is something important. As I told, if your body is weak, you cannot do anything. You will be getting some irritation, mental irritation. You will be hesitating to do something. You will be hesitating to read. You will be having some problems in understanding some ideas. So to create a dynamic body is something important. So you should be able to control your body. So according to Aurobindo, you have to avoid medicines as much as possible. You can take medicine only when it is, only when there is no other way. So again, some beautiful concept. And Aurobindo demanded that there should be sufficient time for the children to sleep. Sorry. Yeah. So see, there should be sufficient time for the children to sleep. And he told that children in the cradle, more sleep and less awakening. So you should let your infant sleep more. If they sleep 20 hours, if they sleep 15 hours, and if they keep themselves in a wake-up situation for 9 hours, it will be more useful. And until maturity, actually, according to psychology, maturity is the time of the end of teenage. That means 20 years. Yeah. Maturity comes at 20 years or something like that. Until maturity, at least 8 hours should be for sleep. And nowadays, actually, we are not giving our children 8 hours sleep because there are lots of homeworks, and they are not sleeping till late night, yeah, or sometimes maybe be watching some programs. And he also told that children should not be encouraged to sleep late. And he told that in the midnight time is more important for the development of nerves. So you should make them sleep during that time, because this sleeping will be helpful for the development of nerves, according to Aurobindo. And he tells that parents should never blame their children when they are sitting passive. Or I think he has got some great idea, clear-cut idea of the habits of parents, the normal activities of parents, the normal lifestyle of parents. He tells that most of the parents feel that when their children are static, it is a sign of sickness. And Aurobindo tells that this passive status is not a sign of sickness, but they are relaxing. Let them relax. Let them sleep, or let them take enough time for sleeping. And this relaxation is also important because you should give some rest for your body, and that should be during the first part of the life. So never allow them to sleep late. Tell them to sleep as early as possible in the night. And these are his own words. Even during the waking hours, relaxation is indispensable for all who want to maintain their nervous balance. To know how to relax the muscles and the nervous is an art. It should be taught to children when they are very young. He feels that not only during the time of sleep, but also during the waking hours, there should be relaxation. See, if you make your children active for 2 hours, then let them take some relaxation for 1 hour or 2 hours. And this is important for the nervous balance. And this should be a part of their culture. Your children should know that this relaxation is important for their nervous system. It's an art. It's an art means it's not science. It's an art. Because each and every child should be able to keep a timetable, or each and every child should know when they have to relax after some work, how much time they have to relax, what sort of relaxation should be there. It should not be decided by the parents. So during the early stages of life, parents should make them aware of keeping such a balance, and let them keep it as a health culture, natural health culture. So if you tell them to relax after some work, it should not be mechanical. You should tell for what they have to relax after some work, because it should be meaningful. They should know the logic behind that. So let them make it an art, because different people select different methods, different modes, different things for relaxation. Some people will be listening to some music, yeah. Some people will be doing something else for relaxation. So let them make it an art. So it's something significant. And these are also some beautiful words told by Aurobindo. I have said that, yes, I'll tell. I have said that from a young age, children should be taught to respect good health, physical strength, and balance. The great importance of beauty must also be emphasized. A young child should aspire for beauty, not for the sake of pleasing others or winning their admiration, but for the love of beauty itself. Beautiful words. For beauty is the ideal which all physical life must realize. Every human being has the possibility of establishing harmony among the different parts of his body and in the various movements of the body. Yeah, something like that. So here he believes that children should be aspiring for beauty, physical beauty. And the intention of that physical beauty should not be for pleasing others. It should not be for being popular among others. It should not be for making others tell that he is handsome or she is beautiful. But it should be just for beauty. This is something wonderful. Because see, when we look at ourselves, and if we feel that we are handsome or we are beautiful or our body is beautiful, it will be giving you a confidence. And this confidence is something important. See, I have felt myself, okay, I have experienced this on myself. Some days I may be coming out of my home by wearing some clothes which has not been pressed. Then when I look at myself, yes, at times I used to feel inferior. I used to feel some inferiority complex. I used to feel some disturbance in my mind. This is natural. When we look at our body, and if we feel that, yes, I have got some healthy body, I have got some beauty of body, so it will carry some confidence in your mind. That confidence is important in the case of learning. So let them love their beauty, not for making others. Yeah. If you are creating some beauty, for getting admiration from others, then it will be some polished beauty. Yeah. There will not be anything internal. We will keep some external beauty. For example, we are making use of some materials for making our face more white. Yeah, we are using some makeup materials. Just for getting some admiration from others. It is not there. The intention should be for loving the beauty just for that, not for getting admiration from others. A beautiful concept. Okay. So this is something about the physical education. So I think we can discuss the second part and third part in the next class, vital education and something like that. Actually, the first thing is that making our children able to control our physical activities. And he tells that during the very beginning of the life, we should create some good habits in our children. And these good habits will be helpful for them solving different problems in future. Otherwise, sometimes in future, when they are not able to face some problems or solve some problems, or when they are facing some illness or some sickness, they will feel that I might have done all these things during my childhood days. So good habits should be there. They should be able to control the functions of their body. And this is the concept of physical education put forth by Aurobindo. So two things we have discussed. The first thing is that education should start even before birth. And the second concept is integral education. According to Aurobindo, there should be a balanced development of 5 areas, or there should be 5 areas of education: physical, vital, then mental, then psychic, and spiritual. So we have told something about physical education. Thank you very much. Yes, I think
Thank you,
it is
sir.
6
Thank
past. Yeah. So I think we can conclude here. If any one of you have got something, then you can just tell.
ഒരു കാര്യം ഞാൻ പറയാം.
Yeah.
അതായത് എനിക്ക് പലപ്പോഴും അത്ഭുതമായിട്ട് തോന്നിയ ഒരു കാര്യം എന്താ വെച്ചാൽ നമ്മൾ ഈ